Hey guys, what's up? It's Steven here from Dynamx. Now, if your Klaviyo sign-up form converts under 10%, you are leaking money. Every visitor who bounces without joining your list isn't just lost traffic, it's future revenue totally gone. It ain't the temperature of your traffic, it's simply your sign-up form. We have rebuilt hundreds of Klaviyo forms for 7 and 8 figure brands, and almost each and every single one of them was already broken before we even touched it. So we have vast experience getting these things to print money, guys. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we build them and turn them into high converting sign-up systems that hit double-digit submission rates. They are literally turning passive site visitors into predictable recurring revenue. So by the end, you're going to know how to structure your pop-up, time it right, use our psychology framework, so you're going to turn that Klaviyo into a revenue driving machine, guys. All right, so see you inside. So guys, high converting Klaviyo sign-up forms. Me and my Chihuahua are going to show you how you can turn passive visitors into profitable subscribers the Dynamx way, or the cheeky way. Is that right? Yeah? You're going to show them? Right? She says yes, so we're going to show you now. Alright? So throughout this video, guys, I just want you to remember one key takeaway. The best, most effective forms all have a few commonalities. One, they're often quite simplistic in nature, right? They load fast and they all usually have a hook that is asking a very simple and very direct question. If you can run 5%, 10%, 15, 20, whatever the case may be, the bigger the offer, obviously the higher the submission rate. But if your sign-up form is poorly constructed and it's missing a few cornerstones and some foundational frameworks, even leading with a really high offer, you will leave money on top of the table because you will have an unoptimized form. Here are some of my personal favorites, right, in terms of design. Again, you will notice something here that we do. We try and do it in around 5, maybe 6 words max or less. So we're asking a question, right? How about $200 off? Pretty good hook, right? Who doesn't want $200 off? Then we're saying, hey, join our exclusive circle and receive $200 towards your first purchase. Simply enter your email address, your first name, and then get your gift card, right? Very simple, right? Notice how big the font is here, right? Notice how big that CTA is, right? While trying to remain on brand. Then we're having a little bit of a disclosure here as well. So this is a 2-step sign-up form. Step 1, we take your first name and your email. Step 2, we basically go ahead and give you the code. The mobile version is exactly the same. So this is all going to make a little bit more sense in just a second here, right? So what we're going to do is first focus on what you're going to master. So I'm going to show you 7 psychological levers that drive these high converting forms so you significantly boost your subscriber rates. You're going to master responsive form design to achieve maximum conversions. You're going to leverage our internal data and our exclusive benchmarks from live Klaviyo accounts that we manage to gain a powerful competitive edge. We also have for you our proven 8-step optimization process for rapid list growth so you can achieve a really high RPS, okay guys? Now you can access our ready-to-use scripts that are very useful for micro commit copy, optimal trigger timing, and irresistible CTA design that are conducive for one thing and one thing only, and that's to skyrocket your submissions, okay? Throughout this video, by the way, you'll see a variety of different forms that we have designed for some of our clients. You're going to see 2-step, 3-step, 4-step. You're going to see some zero-party data, desktop variants, mobile variants. We're then going to go into Klaviyo and we're going to build one of them together, right? I'm going to show you the targeting, the logic, and the timing, and the display rules, okay? So we're going to literally build the list that also powers those. I'm going to show you how you can turn on single opt-in, right? You do not want double opt-in inside of your sign-up forms unless you have bot problems, right? And maybe you go ahead and do that. But generally speaking, you're going to leave too much money on top of the table. Why? Because if you have a double opt-in when you don't really need one, you're going to force your audience to go into their inbox and click the I want to subscribe, complete my subscription email that they're going to get with double opt-in enabled. That's going to cause such a crazy drop off of actual emails and signed in users. You don't want to do that, guys. Trust me, do not do it. It's a really big mistake. Me and Cheeky over here, don't we? We want you to know the psychology behind these high converting forms. Like, there's 7 things here. I need you to trust me a little bit on this. You cannot have a sign up form with a submission rate north of 10% without doing all of these, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. You must do all 7, right? You have to do all 7 of these. It's an absolute non-negotiable, right? If you want to have a really, really high converting sign-up form, it's very, 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 very important, guys, right? This stuff we have learned of years of A/B testing, working in multiple different e-commerce accounts, even SaaS accounts, right? This is the best of the best, and what we know just works each and every single time. It's all very simple stuff. It's so simple. Number 1 is the micro commitment. You need to encourage a tiny, effortless action to build momentum toward a larger commitment later on by making the process seem and feel less daunting. So how do you do it? Well, you simply start with a low friction question like, hey, want 10% off? Would you like 10% off? Take 10% off. As human beings, we are psychological conditioned to answer questions. My dog is licking my hand, but we like to answer questions, right? We like it, so go ahead and use that. All right, guys, quick reality check. If your sign-up form's converting under 10%, you already know you're burning more in wasted traffic than a rebuild done by Dynamx would ever cost. At Dynamx, we rebuild Klaviyo forms from the ground up. Structure, design, psychology, storytelling, everything. If you want us to audit your form and show you exactly what's holding it back, enhance your conversion rates, hit the link below and you'll get a free one-on-one with me. I'll show you real numbers, real gaps, and how to fix them all before BFCM even hits. No pits, just ads, friendly chat, strategic back insights, guys. All right, now more than ever, you want to reward them with instant gratification. Very, 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 very important, especially with the Gen Z audience, right? You need to provide immediate value or a clear reward right after an action, satisfying the innate human desire for immediacy and eliminating any hesitation. So very simple stuff again, guys. In reality, you simply use it in your CTA. So it's, hey, unlock your code instantly, get access now, take your 15% now, click to get 15%, right? Make that gratification instantaneous. Now, unless you're Nike or Adidas or something like that, right? You need authority and you need safety. Nobody knows who you are. You probably just targeted those leads on Facebook, or maybe they somehow found your socials. They're just getting to know, like, and trust you. So you need to keep reminding them that you're an affordable, safe e-commerce brand that they can trust, right? So you need to build trust, eradicate user doubt with clear signals of credibility and security, making users feel safe to share their sensitive personal information, right? You can simply display your recognized brand logos, right? If it's good enough for your Facebook ad, if it's good enough for the header on your website, it is certainly good enough for a spot inside your sign-up form, right? Remember, guys, you're trying to anchor your brand. They're only getting to know, like, and trust you, right? So recognize brand logos. You want your sign-up form to look professionally designed, and you can have privacy assurances, simple ones like, hey, your data is 100% secure. By signing up, you agree to receive marketing communications from us, right? Audience knows and expect to receive that opt-in disclaimers, okay? Number 4, loss aversion. So you're going to capitalize on the primal fear of missing out on a valuable benefit, compelling, immediate, and decisive action by deploying impactful messaging such as offer ending the moment you leave, limited stock claim now, limited time only, right? That kind of verbiage, right? FOMO, you want to get your FOMO in there, why not, right? It helps sort of create that scarcity element, right? Which leads into loss aversion. Clarity over creativity, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Don't go too bananas here. You want this to be digestible by a 5-year-old, right? You want it to be clear, concise, and actionable. It's really, 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 really important that this has clarity over creativity. So important, right? Prioritize being direct, absolute ease of understanding, eschewing any complex designs to ruthlessly minimize friction and maximize the action. The action is getting the email and getting the click through, right? So your headlines, 10 words max, clean backgrounds, and undeniably clear CTAs where, hey, take your 10% off, get 15% off, whatever the case may be. Get free shipping, right? Doesn't matter, but it just needs to be clear. Clarity over creativity. Don't go too bananas and trying to be too clever. It's not the time to do that, right? You can play around in your emails if you want to do that in your campaigns. Do not do it when you're trying to capture the email address, whatever you do, right? So progressive disclosure. If you guys want to have a 3-step or a 4-step sign-up form, you can, right? But it needs to be progressive. Step 1 is always their name and the email address is really, really, really important. If you want to collect SMS, create a second step. I'm going to show you some of them in just a second here, but do that in step number 2. If you want to grab some zero party data, you can do that in step 2 or step 3. It doesn't really matter, but just do not do it in step 1. You're adding too much, you're giving them too many things to answer, and it's going to lead to a drop off in terms of the overall email submission rates, which is very, very important, guys. Yes, SMS opt-ins are also important. Yes, collecting zero party data that you can utilize to hyper personalize the messaging, extremely important, but it's not as important as getting that email, right? You can't have one without the other. You need that email address, right? You get all of the other stuff later. You can even do it later on, for example. You don't have to do it in the sign up form. I encourage you to try to do it there, but you absolutely do not have to take the zero party data questions, or you can ask them in a variety of different and interesting ways. So visual anchoring, guys. Last and certainly not least, you need to deliberately steer your user attention to critical elements like your CTA, right? So your call to action, using strategic placement with striking contrast and clarity. So ensure you have a pretty solid 8:1 ratio there, right? Strategically position elements near the engaging visuals, such as like attractive faces, your brand logo. That's going to help and boost the overall submission rate. So here's an example of a 3-step mobile sign-up form on a Chihuahua, right? That's about to go down. We want to initiate with a micro commitment, right? So how do we do it? Want 10% off? Easy peasy, right? Very, very, very simple stuff. Okay, you're going to secure your exclusive access with unlock my code, right? So hook, and there's the instant gratification. And again, notice what I'm doing in step 2 here. It's another hook, right? That I'm asking for the sign-up form. So it's want more savings, and I'm saying blah, 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 blah. And notice as well, guys, that I am putting in all of the disclaimers, right? Very, very, very important that we're doing that, okay? It helps reassure them a little bit, and also helps keep you guys compliant, obviously. So that's a simple 3-step form there that does convert sublimely well. Same form again, this time in the desktop version, right? So you always want 2 versions, all of your forms. One that's heavily optimized for a mobile, zero scroll, right? Zero scroll in all caps. Notice here, this is in the silhouette of an iPhone. Notice if this pops up on your phone right now, you do not have to scroll to enter in any of that information at all. All of the form fields are right in front of you. You can click on them right away. Very, 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 very important, which is why, if you notice, I have the images lower down. If I had the images up top, you would need to scroll to enter in and click the CTA, right? Do not do that. You will lose a boatload of submission rates if you do that, right? If you absolutely need to have nice images of your brand or attractive models or whatever the case may be, go ahead and do that, but put it lower down the fold, right? Do not put it up top, okay? It's a big, big, big mistake, guys. If you continue watching this video, you're not going to make any mistakes. I promise you that, okay? So here would be a zero party data 3-step form, for example, right? So notice here, we're trying to get them to unlock 5% off today. And once we get their first name and their email, then we're asking questions, right? Another question: what are your fitness goals? Weightlifting, weight loss, endurance, general health, other, right? And then get the discount code, and then we give them the code away right at this step. So if you give the code away, it allows for them to stay on site, and it leads to a better overall user experience, right? That's conducive to higher conversions, right? The only time you should ever take them off site to take a code and go into their inbox is in the domain warming phase. You can do it. It's smart to do it, but you must only do it for 2, maybe 3 weeks tops, and that's it. If you're doing free shipping, a gift code, a discount, whatever it is, give it to them in the success step. You want to keep them on site. You cannot afford to have them go back into their inbox and get distracted by a competitor email or a team message or whatever the case may be, right? They're going off site, and that's never a good thing. Keep them on site. You'll make more money. I promise you will. Okay. Document is linked down below. All you need to do is enter your email address. It's going to be sent over to you totally for free, by the way. You can go much more granular. I could spend another 90 minutes going through this document in terms of going super deep on the build method, right? The blueprint for conversions, the common conversion killers. We've also got our internal 8-step optimization process. If you guys already have some forms, you just want to kind of give them a strategic edge, right? You roll in those first 7 psychological frameworks, and then you're going to optimize using the 8-step process. We've also got some pro tips. Before I finish with my final word, we're going to go into Klaviyo, guys, and we're going to build this from scratch together, right? A very simple form. I'm just going to show you how you can optimize it for display rules, targeting, and behavior logic. First and foremost, let's create a list together, right? Because the sign-up form needs to put the people somewhere, so we're going to call it master list, let's say, right? We're going to make that together right now. So master list, Now, the reason I want to create this with you is because after it's created, you must come into settings, consent, and select single opt-in and select save. If you leave this set to double opt-in, it will send them a confirmation message, which means they need to go into Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, wherever, open up that email and select, yes, I want to subscribe, right? You do not want to do that. It is an absolute sign-off form conversion killer, right? You're going to fall off of a cliff edge. If you guys don't have any bot problems or anything, you should be using single opt-in. It's really, really, really important that you do that, okay? You will make a bunch more money. That is like the hack of all hacks, right? Trust me on this one, guys. So the reason why we created that list, you're going to see that we're going to use it to power the sign-up form. So let's take one random example here. So this one seems pretty decent, right? Notice here it's asking us to select the list. We're going to select the master list that we just made. If we want to run a 3-step sign-up form, then we would have also a phone number list, which is typically SMS subscribers. Now that both of those are selected and the email list now has single opt-in, very importantly, we can create our form, okay? It comes out of the box pretty good, guys, right? That's not bad at all. Look at that for a hook, right? Get 10% off our next show, secure your seat, right? That's pretty decent right out of the box, right? In terms of a really digestible, easy peasy hook, right? Really, really strong stuff here. Now you could come in here and edit that all around. You can change the text color. You can add in more blocks. If we go to the add block section here, you can add in a variety of different things. You can add in a text block. You can drop it anywhere here. Notice it'll expand now and we can start to type in here, right, guys? So it's highly editable, highly customizable. It's all really, really fantastic. But rather than be a flat out tutorial on how to design a sign up form, we're going to look at the targeting and the behavior, because this is really, really, really important stuff, guys, and it's where I often see big misstep, right, and underperformance sign-up forms. It's usually right here, to be honest. So generally speaking, the faster these display, the better, but we don't want them to display so fast that they totally bombard the user. So there is a bit of a sweet spot. Out of the box, the Klaviyo delays are pretty solid, honestly. We use them quite a lot. We like 5 seconds is the time delay, and we also like a minimum scroll on the site of around 30%, right? So very, very, very important, right? That is pretty much set out of the box, as you can see on my screen. That's the display rules. We also have the other tab here, which is called targeting. Very important that we do not show this to existing Klaviyo profiles. That's basically any email address that is already signed up, either here or at the checkout or on the footer. Klaviyo's pixel is strong and it will know not to display this form. So basically they will only ever see it once, so you gotta make the form count, right? Really, really important. Another hack here is to select the don't show on certain URLs tab and put in here, for example, cart, right? You can create another by add URL, and this time you can do /checkout. You do not want, most of the time, these forms showing up on the checkout step. It is going to interfere with your conversions, right? It's going to play around with that a little bit. If you aren't running ads, right, maybe experiment a little bit with it, but generally speaking, across the board, we won't let these display on cart or checkout pages, right? We usually don't do it. If you're running ads to a very specific product page, you may also want to come in here and exclude that, right? If you're literally paying to drive traffic there, the goal is the conversion. In that case, if it's to a specific page or a collection, not necessarily to go ahead and grab an email, right? Take the money and run. We'll get the email on the checkout and we'll email them on the back end, right? So I would advise you to do that, okay, guys? There is a lot more customization here. You can also show these based on UTM parameters. You can show based on total cart value. There's a whole plethora of different things. If you want to get super granular, you can, but I'm showing it to you in a way that's really, really light. You've got certain micro commits here. You've got your email opt-in, right? If you guys want to add a teaser, you can do that too. Isn't that awesome, right? That's the teaser. That'll stay sticky on your site, but you can change it to a circle. You can also change it to a rectangle, for example. We usually like to have it something like this, right? A rectangle off to the side, centered left. This does convert very, 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 very well here, guys. I encourage you to use the teaser. A lot of founders kind of hate it because it does sometimes overlay a little bit of text or maybe some kind of image. But if you are totally obsessed with maximizing your submission rates, then you must use a teaser, right? I really, really encourage you to use use the teaser, okay? That was the micro commit step. That's the email opt-in. Now, I encourage you to maybe delete that micro commit step, right? It's one step too many in my opinion. We can do the micro commit in the email opt-in. So again, this is my version of a micro commit, and it's, for example, would you like 10% off? That is the micro commit, and we would probably, I do like to use question marks and things like that here, okay? So I would probably do it something like this, right? Our next show, email secure your seat, no thanks. That's pretty solid right there, okay? Now the SMS, you can see, right, this kind of sucks, right? Even out of the rip from a Klaviyo form. So look at the size of this font and then look at that, right? It's like a balloon being deflated, right? You need consistency. So what size was that font? Size 88, a little bit too big anyway. Let's make it size 64, right? So we'll highlight it all. We'll change this up to 64, for example. That looks a little bit better, right? Now we're going to go to the SMS step. We're going to grab that. That is also going to become 64 size. We need consistency, right? One more step. I don't know. Do I like that? You could say, for example, sign up to receive exclusive discounts. Would you like to receive more exclusive discounts, right? Another hook, another question, right? Another micro commitment, right? So that's what I would personally change this to here. I wouldn't do that because that's like saying like you have to take something like, hey, I've got another step to do, I've got one more thing to do, right? We don't want that. That's kind of like lame marketing in my opinion. So do change that up. If you want to see what we would typically do there, I can give you a simple example here. You can look at one of our client accounts there. Want more savings, right? That's the SMS step. Very simple, right? Who doesn't want more savings? Everybody does. I do, and I know you do too. Again, this is a 3-step sign-up form. You got the email opt-in with a micro commit. You got the SMS opt-in. Put a micro commit in there. Hey, like want more savings, for example. The success step. See you soon. Check your email for your discount. What I would recommend you guys do here is simply give away that immediately. So instead of check your email for your discount, you could write, now let's see here, use your discount at checkout. Going to give them the coupon code here, and you can create unique Shopify coupons, or you can simply use a static coupon, right? So let's see here, what are we going to say? BFCM 2025, for example, right? Or whatever you want that code to be. Whatever you do, just give it away at this step, right? Make the on-site experience seamless and natural, okay? So give them it here, and then we would obviously delete that, right? We don't need that anymore. Keep browsing, kind of sucks, right? Let's just say continue shopping. Right, we want them to shop. They're here to do. Very, very important that we remind them of always what they're here to do, right? Continue exploring, continue shopping. Shop now would be also a pretty solid one to put in there, right? By the way, if you're wondering why I'm making typos, it's because my dog is licking my fingers as I'm typing here. So apologies for that, but we're getting there, we're getting through it, right? So guys, in a nutshell, simple email opt-in with a micro commit and a strong hook. SMS opt-in if you want it. If you want a 2-step, simply just delete that, right? We can go ahead and get that out of there. Then we've got just our teaser, just our email opt-in, and our success step, right? One final thing, watch what happens if I click the email box, right? So we want to make sure that the profile property is also set as marketing equals true, right? So accepts marketing equals true. If they click the CTA, action is to submit the form. The list to submit, remember we created this, our master list, which is set to single opt-in. Very, very important. After they click the secure your seat, we want to show the next step. The next step in this case is our success step where we give them the code, okay? Very, very important, right? So if you want to add a profile property, you can do accepts marketing and you can select the value. For example, we can create it, we can just call it true. Right? So we can say create true. That's going to give you the ability to also search for that so you can segment it, right? So did person sign up? Have they consented to accepts marketing equals true? Yes. Then you can go ahead and make some segments for that, right? If you want to be more granular with your data sets. And that's kind of it, guys. I encourage you to come and explore a little bit around here in terms of the Klaviyo forums. They've even also now got spinning wheels and stuff like that. These are converting pretty well at the moment too. So do play with them, right? Or you can simply just create your own blank form and make it from scratch, right? If you want to design some elements in Figma like we do and then import them in after in terms of images and text-based blocks, you can totally do that. But there is a boatload of nice stuff in here, right, that you can at least come in and totally modify. Okay guys, now let's wrap up the video with my final word. So the high performance sign-up forms aren't creative, right? They're engineered and they're built with structure. They're tested with precision and they're scaled only with data, right? You only want to test and scale with A/B testing. If you have a winning sign-up form that's giving you guys a really high submission rate, if you want to make structural changes, only do it by cloning the winner, and then in the clone you create A/B tests and you optimize that way, because you always have the original as a fail-safe, as a fallback, right? Never ever, no matter how good of an idea that it might seem, make a hard change into something that's already working quite well, including your flow-based emails, guys. It's where it backfires, and if you make too many of those, you chase your tail and you'll struggle to get back to what actually worked originally if the original isn't there. Be really careful, guys. I've seen brands come unstuck with things like that. As a rule of thumb, you want a minimum of an 8% submission rate on your mobile form, right? And you can get that with a 5 to 10% off offer, right? On your desktop version, ideally 5% plus with the same offer. So 2 forms, 2 offers, guys. Really important that you have 2 different forms. If you've made it this far, guys, you already know this. Your sign up form is not just a simple design feature. It's an entire revenue ecosystem. If you're done guessing, book a free strategy call below. It's a one-on-one with me, and hey, if you find this content valuable, please like it, subscribe for more, and comment and let me know what you guys would like to see next. I personally read and reply to each and every single comment, guys. So catch you all in the next one. Peace.